Let's continue with the continue statement. Why to use continue statement? Up to now, we only exited from our loop. This is very useful sometimes, but sometimes we may want to pass to the next iteration without doing this step. If we do that with exit command, it will finish the loop completely. But we just want to pass to the next one. In here, we use continue command. Actually, we can do that with using some other ways like using if clauses, but this will not be an efficient way. Continue is a much easier and efficient way than this method. So what are the benefits? This functionality is served with 11G and next releases of Oracle database. With using this way, you can ease your programming process. By using continue command, you can pass the useless states in a loop. So this may provide a small performance in your code. If you could not use continue statement, you would try to do the same logic with a boolean or number flag value with using if clause. But that would be a worse technique. Continue needs less code and less cost. So with using continue, you can pass to the next iteration with only a single line command. But you cannot use continue command outside of the loop. It will return an error. So how is it used? It is used with some different ways. We write continue keyword. We can write just that keyword. If we do that, it directly passes the next statement and handles the control to the next iteration. But be careful, whatever you write below this continue keyword will not be executed if we use continue command without any condition. But you have this choice anyway. Then you write the label name of the loop. That means you can iterate to the next iteration of the inner loop or outer loop. This is a pretty good way. I will show you how to do that. Then you can write when keyword and the condition. Actually, this is also optional, but it is something you will need to use. Otherwise, why you should use continue keyword? This keyword enables us to control the continue statement. We say that do not execute the next steps if this condition meets. Actually, we can use this with using if statement, but this is some easier way. So you will use that. Now let's open up our SQL developer and make some examples about that. Let's make an example like we have done in the previous lesson and see the difference of continue statement. Let's declare our v inner variable now. Declare v inner, it's a number and its value is 1. And our begin keyword. Let's create a for loop that iterates 10 times. For v outer in 1.10 and loop. By the way, we all started from 1 in our for loops, but you can start from any number. Just be careful that right side must be a greater value than the left side. Okay, now let's print our outer value in each iteration. So dbms output dot put line and my outer value is v outer. Now we need to assign 1 to our inner variable to initialize in each iteration. So I simply write v inner is equal to 1. Now let's make our inner loop. This time let's create it as a while loop. While v inner times v outer smaller than 15 loop. Our loop will iterate while v inner times v outer is less than 15. Now let's increase our variable to avoid an infinite loop. +1. Now let's print our inner variable and end our loops. Let's copy that. and paste in here and put a space again. My inner value is winner. And our end of while loop and end of our for loop. And our end keyword. Pretty good. We haven't used our continue command. I wanted to show you the code and the output before and after the continue command. Now let's run our code. Let's check the output. We can see that, as we have seen in the previous lecture, the inner loop starts from 2 and continues without any interrupt until the calculation reaches to 15. We saw that. Now let's add our continue command to see the difference. In here I write continue when mod winner time voucher comma free is equal to 0. Now what we did in here is we commanded that if the remainder of our calculation is 0, that means if our calculation is multiple of 3, then pass to the next statements. Next statements means all the statements until the next loop keyword. In here we have only our dbms output statement. That means we say that do not write anything if our multiplication is a multiple of 3. Now let's run our code and analyze our outputs. As we can see in here, we did not write all the numbers that are multiple of 3. 1, 2, and we have passed 3 and 4. 5, and we omitted 6 and passed to the 7. 8 and 10, and goes on like that. This is pretty good. Why you can use that? For example, you are calculating the salaries of the employees in your company. Your manager said that we will make salary increase of all our employees except the sales managers. In this time, we can use continue command to pass these employees. One more thing. I said that we can pass to the next iteration of the inner and outer loop by using the loops labels. Now, let's change our example and say that if our inner variable passes the value of 10, pass to the next iteration of the outer variable. Moreover, let's change our while loop to a basic loop that has no exit command. Normally, this will be an infinite loop. Let's see if we can handle this with continue command. We write outer loop, let's say inner loop, and I simply delete all these to make this a basic loop. And now I write continue the outer loop when the inner value is equal to, let's say, 10. End of our outer loop and end of our inner loop. This is for readability. We do not have to use that. Perfect. Let's run it now. When we look at the outputs, we can easily see that we directly jumped into the next iteration of the outer loop when the inner value reached to 10. This is our outer value and these are our inner values. When it reached to 10, we pass to the next iteration of the outer value. We cut inner loop and pass to the next iteration of the outer loop. If we do not use this outer loop label, we would have an infinite loop because we don't have an exit command and we have a basic loop. But we handled that with using continue command with labeling. We directly went out of the inner loop with that way. we can use the inner loops label to the usage the same. Pretty good. I think this is enough for the continue command. So this is the end of continuous statements lesson. See you in the next lessons.